Saying things you can't ignore, like mommy I love you, daddy I hate you, brother I need you, lover hate you. Well, the new season is here, but this is still applicable to season 2. I thought that by the end of the summer I would have all these topics wrapped up, but some other plans ended up getting in the way and it didn't happen. And I wanted to upload this video on the October 3rd, but sadly COVID 3.5 years after it was on trend got me. And honestly, that is so not fetch. But never late than never, and if anything, I am recording this video on a Wednesday. Wearing pink. So let's get on with this video. Episode 3 of Before the Drama. And before we go any further, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys really came through on my previous video, so if you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe, it'll mean that I would really appreciate it. Thank you. So, if you remember from my previous videos, I've split a Total Drama into 5 categories as to why you may like this show. Today, I want to dedicate my video to talking about a movie I've watched, and I figured that Total Drama fans will like it because they like the side of good and well-scripted drama. And from the pink thematic of this video, and from the day that I wanted to upload this video, you probably already gathered that this video will focus on Mean Girls. Now, all my life, people that interacted with me on the daily basis have quite oftenly told me, "Really, you remind me so much of Mean Girls, it must be your favorite movie." First, is that a compliment or an insult? I really can't tell. And 2, haha, no, I never watched it. What? Like, no way! The first time I watched it was last year. I started treatment to ADHD, and back then I felt driven and focused to watch movies without interruptions, and decided to finally give this movie a shot while riding this wave of focus, and considering that among the movies that I've wanted to watch, Mean Girls was one of them. So the plot of Mean Girls, in case you don't know, is about a girl that was homeschooled in Africa, and is white, and learns the hard way what a life of a teenage girl in high school is like. Because she gets sucked in by the popular girls, and this is great because one of the former victims of the queen bee of this clique wants revenge, and this victim was the only one that said hi to the main character. It's a bit of a silly plot when you talk about it like this. Now, when I went into it, I was going for it thinking that this was going to be one of those cliche movies about girls and femininity and yes, queen, slay, her. But watching it, I was surprised that this movie wasn't a cliche movie at all. In fact, it's what made cliche movies, and what these cliche movies try to be and fail. No joke, there wasn't a single bad line in this movie. Every single character we are presented to is interesting. I was amazed on how so many lines from this movie became pop culture icons. The plot of the movie is not something I want to get invested with, but upon watching this movie, I was a bit surprised with how much legacy Total Drama inherit from Mean Girls. Many of the actors that portrayed roles on this movie actually voiced many characters, like Danielle DeSanto, you know, Jason, the Skis. That's a thing Heather called Duncan in the first episode of Total Drama, wasn't it?
Yeah, take your top off!
Let's hear that again with Total Drama footage.
Yeah, take your top off!
Danielle DeSanto is the voice of Dave. And do you remember Amber D'Alessio, the one that made out with the hot dog? This actress is the same that voices Eva. And let's not forget that Coach Carr, that perverted trainer that teaches the students about sexual education in a super uneducated way. And then we find out he makes out with students. Perfect. This is the guy that plays Josh. Now, I've established that Mean Girls has a lot of actors portraying roles on Total Drama, but it should also be stated that a lot of the character development route that were taken with our beloved cast seem to have been inherited from Mean Girls. Yo, I couldn't look away the first time I watched this movie, but the alliance that Heather creates during the first season of Total Drama is 100% a reference to the Plastics. The attitude of Heather is quite literally the same as Regina George, though it doesn't seem to be credited as such. But hey, don't you believe me? Regina is referred as the queen bee in her intro, and take a wild guess as to what's Heather's label in Total Drama. Also, it seems more than a coincidence the fact that one time her calculus teacher made her join the mathletes for extra credit, something that Katie was forced to do. Let's also appreciate how Lindsay and Karen are quite literally the same person.
The whole thing of Heather not letting Lindsay date Tyler, but Heather never saying Lindsay couldn't like him, like the way Katie just looked and not dated Aaron, and Lindsay spilling the deets on her sister Paula getting diarrhea on a date. That's actually something that Karen did to Gretchen too. And even though Gretchen seems a lot more similar to Courtney over Beth, and in Island Beth not showing that many similarities to Gretchen, in action, the whole thing of Beth knowing every single detail about every contestant except Courtney seems to be the final piece to make the original alliance a fitting reference to the plastics. And if anything, Gwen being enemies with Heather is kinda giving off a cool Janice versus Regina sort of vibe. And even Owen, with all those homoerotic tendencies, seems to be a bit of a reference to Damien, but that one is a bit of a stretch. Even though these two are the ones that take Heather down in the end. And listen, this even extends to the characters of Redonkulous Race like Kelly and Taylor. Kelly is 100% a reference to Regina George's mom. They both named themselves as a cool mom. And get this, in a deleted scene from the movie, Regina tells a story on how when she was 7, she threw a smashed dollhouse she didn't want to give away to her cousin. This is a very similar story to something that Taylor told on the Redonkulous Race, where she wanted an expensive dollhouse, but it was totally ratchet. She played with it once and threw it out. 7 years later, a Mean Girls 2 was created. And as the holy rule of this channel state, unless your name is Shrek 2, the second product is going to be worse than the first one. That is very applicable to this movie as well. What the original movie tries to teach is to explain what the environment for a girl high school usually is. It's competitive, it's degrading, and it's mean overall. And for the most part, I believe that the original portrays the harsh environment perfectly. Cannot say the same for the sequel. Basically, the only person reprising roles in this is the principal. The realistic setting that the original found itself in is gone, and the story is anything but original. The movie is a shadow of the glory of the former version, and the main character is a girl that is misogynistic beyond compare. It's an incredibly lamely put together movie, and it's no wonder so many people that worked in this movie actually worked for Disney. The movie took 3 weeks to record, yo. 3 weeks! And I guess that's it. I know the video is considerably shorter, but there is only so much I can do when we talk about a movie. I have to say that I loved Mean Girls, and it quickly became one of my favorite movies, and I am surprised with how many of these jokes hold up, even till this day. If I missed any references, let me know. I really wonder if I did.
Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and like if you haven't, and sorry that I didn't upload this on October 3rd.